Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. This is Hits and Misses. Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome to She Knows Arsenal. My name is Jessica. I'm your host. You can follow me on Twitter at Justino Tweets and at She Knows Arsenal. Welcome to another match review. We're going to be doing our hits and misses today for Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. What a game that was what an ending to a game that was. All of the emotions, all the feels, all of the everything, because that was an emotional roller coaster of a game. Fulham is, I wouldn't say that they're like one of the best teams in the league or anything like that, but I'm gonna say this is not your mama's Fulham, okay? Like this team plays good football. They were very organized. They were confident in a lot of different spells in the game, and I think they held us at bay pretty well in the first half. We were completely dominant. The numbers show that, the eye test shows that, but we just didn't have that killer instinct or that final ball or that good decision making in the final third, and it kind of cost us a little bit in that first half. When you look at it, Fulham, a couple of last ditch efforts to defend some of those efforts from Arsenal, and so it ended up being a lot closer of a game than I think a lot of people originally thought. But ultimately, there are no easy games in this Barclays Super League beyond Bournemouth, who are by far the worst team in the league. But you guys know what I'm saying. There are no easy games. You're going to have to work for every single point. And yesterday was no different. So, going through the hits and misses, we're going to start off with our hits. And I'm going to start off with none other than the man of the match, Martin Odegaard, our captain, the player that stepped up to get us back into the game when we went 1-0 down. Martin Odegaard, again, comes through like he comes up against a lot of criticism, from the Arsenal fan base. I think some of it is based upon wanting a different player, quite similarly to Ben White, a little bit of wanting a different player, and then so you have to keep that agenda going. Some of it is I would prefer somebody else in the team, like a Mill Smith Rowe or something like that. But Martin Odegaard stepped up in a big game. Every game is a big game, regardless if we're playing Fulham or we're playing Chelsea or we're playing Man City. These are big games because all these points count. And when you're down a goal, you need somebody to step up. And that's exactly what he did in a big match in a big way. He was really good in the first half, although, like, we didn't get anything from it. His touches, the little slip balls, the crossfield passes, the reverse passes. He was Martin Odegaard, like a classic Martin Odegaard performance. And as the game became more um, emotionally driven, especially after the mistake from Gabriel, and we needed to get back into the game. He was pressing them, he was nicking the ball off of them, he was really pushing us forward to try to get that goal. And the goal that he had, although deflected, the move for it was so sweet. Saka slipped the ball into Martin Odegaard, little step over, um, tried to shoot it into, um, I think, like Leno's right, but it ended up deflecting and going to Leno's left. And nobody really cares because we deserve that goal 100%. I think nobody can say that we weren't pushing for that goal, and we definitely deserved it. And Martin Odegaard, he just ran back and kind of G'd up the crowd, and it was very much like we're not going to settle for a draw here. We need to go for the win, which is amazing. And so I thought he was our first hit, and 3 goals in 2 games. For somebody who gets a lot of criticism around not shooting and not scoring enough goals, starting off the season with 3 goals. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to predict it. Where I was maybe a little bit harsh on him against, I think it was Leicester. Oh no, it was against Crystal Palace where he wasn't taking those shots. I think that he took that personally, and now he's making sure that he's getting on that score sheet. So Martin Odegaard had a 10 out of 10 game, man of the match performance, Captain Odegaard, and yeah, he should be very proud of that performance. Let me know what you think in the comment section about Odegaard's performance against Fulham. My second hit is actually going to be Eddie and Kedia. I think his cameo kind of really pushed us into the ascendancy when we were trying to push for that second goal. He was so good in terms of like hold up play, nicking the ball off of the Fulham players, being so difficult to mark. I mean, there were times where he was going up against players that were twice his size, like Tim Ream, and just bumping them off of the ball and going with it. And I think when him and Jesus are out there together with Martinelli, you could just see that there's a lot of threat and potency there, albeit, and Kedia didn't score a goal. He had about 3 opportunities. And I think on another day, one of those does go in. But Arteta said that his eyes were showing that he was up for a fight. And what I love about that is he wasn't, bitter that he's not starting the game. He made sure that when he came out there, he made those minutes count. And so Eddie is somebody that, like, maybe in the midweek game, you give Jesus a rest and you let Kedia start, because we're going to need to start rotating. And I think those are the type of performances that get you the nod in games. Whereas if you just come out there and you're just like, okay, whatever, I didn't get to start, I'm just going to kind of just do whatever. Those are the performances that don't get you the nod. So for me and Kedia, he's pretty much the first player off of the bench these days. Like, he's definitely like the 12th man there. And so his cameo was excellent. If you guys can find the compilation on Twitter or YouTube, please look it up, because although he didn't score, you can tell that Nketiah is on the edge of a real explosion. Like, he's definitely somebody that I think has went up a couple of levels since he first came into the team. And so his strength is so much better, his intention, his decision making is a lot better, and he fits right in with the rest of the group. So for me, Eddie Nketiah's cameo was absolutely spectacular. Now, my third hit is going to be Gabriel Magalhaes. He obviously he scores the winner, but I think what was more important than scoring the winner was calming himself down after such a big mistake. I think Gabriel is prone to these. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think this is just who he's going to be. If you play with Gabriel, you know that once, twice a season, he's going to do something like that. Quite similarly to what he did against Wolves. And it's frustrating because you want your defenders to be calm and cool and collected and not to make those types of mistakes, but shit happens. And so with Gabriel, it's, do the pros outweigh the cons? And for me, they do. I think there's so many more pros to Gabriel than cons. But you're going to get this moment from him every once in a while. And we had one yesterday where he just had a brain fart and he was punished so mercilessly for it. So, but what I loved is right after that, you can just tell that he calmed himself down. And when he got on the ball, he wasn't rattled. And we've seen in the past that one mistake can end up being 2 or 3 mistakes, and easily you're down 3 or 4 nil, because you can't mentally get back into the game. Gabriel, you could tell he just took like a big put that behind him and kept rolling with it. And when we were really pushing for the goal, he had one really nice slip pass into Martinelli, and I thought that's my guy. That's my guy, because there's a lot of other defenders that just would have crumbled, and he didn't do that. And so even if he had not scored the winning goal, I think I would have still, you know, given him some plaudits for the performance after the mistake. But getting the winning goal, I just think shows all of Gabriel's quality and his mentality. And those things are really important. Every player is going to make mistakes. We have players in our team, Ramsdale, sometimes Granit Xhaka and Gabriel, that make mistakes. That's just who they are. They have it in them. But as long as they can rebound from that and shake it off and be a part of the comeback, that's all you can really ask for. And his celebrations, you can tell that he was totally like, whoo, I'm off the hook. Even Odegaard, after he scored the equalizer, he kind of rubbed Gabriel and said, like, okay, shake it off. And so I think the mentality that Arteta has instilled in the team is also coming out of, our brothers are going to make mistakes and we have to bail them out. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. And Gabriel bailed himself out by having the right mentality to shake off that big mistake and come through for us for the 3 points. So I love Gabrielle. And, obviously there are some accounts on Twitter that make it their point to say, we can't win anything with Gabrielle in our team. We can't do this without Gabrielle in our team. I just feel like left-footed, 6 foot something, physical beasts like Gabrielle that can also play the ball are so hard to find. So I'd rather not just throw them in the bin just because they make a mistake here and there. So for me, I love Gabriel. That's my center back, and he was my third hit. Now moving on to misses. Um, I'm going to start off with, this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to start off with Gabriel just a little bit because I want to talk more about what actually happened when he made the mistake. So I will always give him the praise that he deserves for making up for it. But I just feel like he could just save himself so much by just booting the ball out sometimes. You know, it just got caught underneath his feet. And these are things that I feel like Arteta will speak to him about. When Saka played that ball into him, which I don't think was a great ball to begin with, he just has to boot it out and make a better decision. And so we've seen that with Wolves and with Fulham, two teams that weren't really on top of us. Like, I don't necessarily feel like Wolves were on top of us last season. I don't think Fulham was either, but you give them that little bit of confidence and you let them in the game where they shouldn't be in it. And then the whole narrative of the game changes. So he also gets a little bit of a miss for me in that, because I can praise him for getting his mindset back. But ultimately, he shouldn't be putting us in that position in the first place. And I get that he has these little brain farts, but they need to become a little bit fewer and far between. I can accept it because of the comeback, but Gabriel just booted out. I love you, just booted out. So he's my first miss. It's just two sides of the coin, yin and yang, you know, the hero and the villain, you know? So my second miss is actually gonna be Bukayo Saka. Um, this is hard because I do think that people tend to take any sort of negativity or any sort of criticism around Saka as you hating him, and I don't hate him, but he hasn't been playing well since the season has started. And I think this game, watching it back, I don't think he was terrible. I don't think he was anywhere near as terrible as people were saying. But what I will say is that the ball that he played into Gabriel was not smart. He could have booted that out himself. I think Gabriel was more at fault, but Saka also should have done better on that. And he was ponderous on the ball. Where last season, in his best period last season, when he was like basically unplayable, he made decisions and he made them with intention. You know, either he was going to pass it to somebody or he was going to beat his man. He made the decision quickly. In this game, it was like he was making the decision on the fly. Like, oh, am I going to go past him? Am I not? And with defenders like Robinson, who are like, Jedi Robinson is no slouch because he's physical and fast and he has power and pace. So if you're going to try to go past him, you have to make the decision quickly or else he's going to be able to catch up with you. And I just think Saka was in between. Do I try to beat him or do I just pass it? And I think there were some opportunities where he could have got the ball in the box, made a quicker decision to shoot, and ultimately the chance was snuffed out because he didn't make his decisions quick enough. And you know, I think on replay, watching the chance that he had with his left foot where he cut it in and Leno made the save, I think that was less of a point blank miss than a good save. Like, that was definitely a good save by Bern Leno, and I don't think Saka did much wrong there. I just think when he was in the half spaces, he needed to make his decisions quicker. And I think this also highlighted the need for Arsenal to get a 1v1 specialist. I said this in a past show. I'll say it again. Saka and Martinelli are not one-on-one specialists. They can go past their man, but it's more when the ball's moving, the player is backing up, and they can get them. Like, everything has to be moving. But from a standing still position, we don't have anybody that can beat their man just like that. And maybe that's where somebody like Pedro Neto comes in. And I think that's also why Arsenal were looking at Rafinha. We don't have that quality on the ball right now. And Saka, Martinelli are great players that are getting better day by day by day. But we are in desperate need of a player like that because neither of them have that. And it hurt us in this game, I thought. I thought our wing play was not good enough. Martinelli was definitely better than Saka, but our wing play was not good yesterday. So I think Saka was one of my misses. I don't hate him, but he didn't have a good game, and it didn't have anything to do with Odegaard or Ben White, because I've been hearing this season that it's because of them that he's not playing well. He's just not playing well because he's not on it. You know, you have to sometimes just put it on the player, you know, and not make excuses. So Saka was definitely another miss for me. And I would say last but not least is Kieran Tierney. I found myself missing Zinchenko quite a bit. Tierney has different characteristics as Zinchenko that I think are beneficial and very useful. but we didn't really get to see them because he's obviously coming back from a long-term injury and we have to give him time. But he was good defensively, but not necessarily very good on the ball. And so I do think that Tierney is somebody that he needs runs of games in order to get up to speed. And I hope that we can give him some playing time so that we can utilize his best characteristics. He just looked rusty. He looked rusty. He wasn't good on the ball. And so when he was trying to go past his defender and beat them on the dribble, he just couldn't do it. So it's a small miss. It's hard to find bad performances in a day where I thought most people were sixes and above. So I'm nitpicking here, but Tierney definitely did not stand in for Zinchenko as well as I had hoped. We didn't drop in quality so much where it was like, oh my gosh, we're dead without Zinchenko. But you can definitely see that the way that we want to play suits Zinchenko a lot more than Tierney. And if we don't switch the way that we play, I think Tierney's best characteristics don't get used as much. And then it becomes a question of, okay, well, how do we utilize him best? And can we give him a run of games to get up to that full speed Tierney? Because he's all about that burst. He's all about that little like 5 yard burst past his defender, and he didn't have that yesterday. So yeah, Tierney was a little bit. I wouldn't say Tierney was disappointing. I would just say I missed Zinchenko, which just kind of shows that Tierney's performance wasn't really up to scratch. And yeah, I just found myself missing Zinchenko more than I missed Thomas Partey. I thought El Neni was El Neni, but it's just Zinchenko was so influential in those first 3 games that I thought I missed him. So yeah, those are my hits and misses. I hope that I didn't offend anybody too much because, again, I'm nitpicking on a game where I thought that most players were above a 6. And so I love every single one of these players, but I just want to keep it real. I feel like we have every right to criticize, but as long as it's not abusive, it's fine. I hope you guys enjoyed this hits and misses. Please make sure that you get in the comment section and let me know what you agree with and what you don't agree with. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.